What was we saying? Somebody asked. Well, huh?
The mirror and the children.
Yeah, the mirror and the children and all of that. But the children are very advanced, and the animals are very advanced, especially cats. So while anybody live in a house, get you a cat. Cats are doing wonderful things right now. You know what I'm saying? The cats are doing wonderful things. Believe it or not, I'll go into some of that science, but get you a cat. That's why you think the Egyptians had cats. Dogs are good too.
Black cat?
Oh yeah, especially a black cat. But any kind of cat. But if you can get a black one, you good to go. But dogs are doing things, any kind of animal. But the cats are, the Egyptians, the Camites, they kept the cats. There's a book called Enchanted and Magical Cat, something like that. It's out now, and go into all this stuff on that. But that's when. But I'll go back to that when we go into the lecture. What's that, sister? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speak on spirit and the blue light, or the blue light of the spirit.
With several dimensions of the whole blue light of the spirit. The star Sirius was called the blue light. But to show you the history, if you go to India, they got these blue gods. They look these blue looking gods. And in so many words, they're saying that black is not necessarily black as it is indigo. The black and the blue is one. And so anything dealing with that and dealing with the whole blue light thing is still talking about that same black spirit or the whole indigo type of spirit. And that's when you see those particular deities in you see any of those deities in India, you'll see them with a blue hue. Even some Osirian pictures in Egypt, Africa, you see them with what they call the whole blue black thing. But if you're talking about the blue light spirit, it's still just indicating probably the soul, because it's the difference between the soul and the spirit. The soul is a son, S-U-N or S-O-N, same thing, Son of God. The spirit is what animates everything down here. So everything that moves upon the face of the earth has a spirit, but not necessarily a soul. A soul are the original gods and stuff like that. So a lot of time when they're talking about the blue spirit, a lot of times they're talking about in relationship to the star Sirius, where the Dogon, the Egyptians, and every primordial religion talks about the star Sirius, which is also called the blue star. That's just one, and they might have several other things. Maybe it was something, another part that you learned, but they have several things. What was, is it anything indicating?
Yes, my son passed away this year.
Uh-huh.
He passed away about a couple months before. I kept seeing blue light flashing. Blue light. I see it now, but
those are the ancestors. Because it's interesting you would say that, because before my mother made her transition, the year before she made her transition, her mother came, her grandmother came, my great-grandmother, and all these people was around her. But she made the transition. Usually this happens when you get ready to make the transition right then. But with her, it came a year before, because she had a miraculous thing that happened to her. She spontaneously combusted, where she sat in the chair and just burnt up and ascended that way. Well, I thought so too, until I found out that also with them they just burn up with her. But us, I come to find out that the gods illuminate that way too. And as a matter of fact, the preacher even saw it. The preacher saw it in her own way. She said, she said that Jesus was there. She was giving it in her Christian way of understanding it. But whatever it was, she was saying the same thing, that this was a spiritual illumination. You see? Yeah, my mother. You see what I'm saying? So what happened was this and stuff. So it was not the same spontaneous combustion as you would have with a lot of Europeans doing, because hers was a spiritual attainment. Theirs, just the energy gets so high and they just burn up. With her, basically what she did is it was her time to go, and she took the house and everything with her. You see what I'm saying? She just left the earth on a powerful way. You see what I'm saying? And it's ironic because She left on July 20th, 30 years to the day. Bruce Lee died. And in 1929, Noah Drew Ali died made the transition on July 20th. So there's something about that particular date and stuff like that. But she chose, so that was a part of her exit. So the family members came the year before. Now it's interesting this because she was in Florence, South Carolina in the hospital, and the actual time that when she was in the hospital going through dementia, and the family members was there, they said it was the hottest, and it's in the Al Gore's movie. What's the name of that movie? Al Gore's Global Warming. And Inconvenience Truth. On the day she was in the hospital and went through the dementia, and the family members came, they said that Florence, South Carolina was the hottest place on earth. So she was in the hospital and it produced the hottest place on earth. We know we're talking about some stuff because I built a kingdom. So to answer your question, those were the ancestors also around, which is those particular blue gods, so they call them. Your boy Geronimo, he worshiped a blue god in the form of a rock. And as long as he was with that blue god, he couldn't be defeated. You see, he had that blue god. That's the blue stone or blue god Kachina that they talk about. The Kachina is what they talk about in the Hopi Indian and stuff like that. In the Hopi Indian, and they talk about those type things. So that was the ancestors around. You see, that was the ancestors around. You see, making sure he had safe passage or whatever, and all. Yeah. Give me some more questions.
I kind of had a question about the ancestors, but I was thinking about your mother. Now, how are you connected? How do you, I don't know the words, visit with your mother?
Oh yeah, it's no problem when you're a part of the spirit realm and you live in that realm. I live in that world most of the time, so I can get in contact with her whenever I want. You see what I'm saying? There's the mystery on getting in contact with your ancestors. If I try to get in touch with her as Glaciria Hemet, you see what I'm saying? She's not going to respond because she told me so. See, so you have to get in touch with them on their spiritual name, which each person has a spirit name. And her spirit name was given to her in 1994 as Mentep Sing Sing. And so I can contact her through that because what's happening here whenever they graduate and they go to other levels, you see, they're identifying with the particular entities that they have become outside of this physical body. Because that person is dead, or that physical body is dead, and the ego person that was that particular person on earth. You see what I'm saying? So she said, after 45 days, you got to contact me as Mentep Sing Sing. You see what I'm saying? And it's interesting here because we got some pictures of her as a young maid when she was in her 20s and one when she was in her 40s. And then I got a picture, and we got them in the living room along with Linda's mother when she was in her 20s and when she was basically in her 20s and 30s. I had a picture of my mother sitting at the desk because she was a school teacher. And I put that school teacher picture down with those other pictures, and she kept ripping it off the wall. Because the other one can identify as a goddess. But the school teacher suggested occupation and someone living on the earth plane. And she kept ripping it off like saying, no, I'm no longer that. So it's no problem with getting in touch with your ancestors. A lot of times you just can't get in touch with them with the entity with the person that they was in the physical realm. But that person is dead now and they have gone to other levels.
So what about all the stuff that, like the Yoruba tradition, they all practice that here,
Yeah.
What, I'm sort of not understanding why it is that they constantly do, not the rituals, but it seems like they spend a lot of time just focusing on getting to the ancestors, and it's just, it's almost like you can spend your whole day, your whole life.
That's because what has happened here is, whether we like it or not, those systems, any system we have left behind is only a fragment of a system. It's not, that's why I tell people, that's why I never join no groups. You see what I'm saying? Hell, I might be in China dealing with some stuff, because that's how people stuff. I might be in Tibet dealing with some stuff. I deal with it all. And I build a system around me where I deal with all types of deities, including new ones. I got deal with over 120 new ones that came back to the planet since 2001, since the millennium. But whether we like it or not, no matter what system you are in, it's only a fragment of something that was a greater mystery system 2,000-3,000 years ago. So what happened was with the Yoruba, the Voodoo, or whatever system that we had left, they had to turn them more into a religion and more of a type of ceremonial worship and stuff, just to keep whatever fragments that was left behind so it could survive up to now. But you never get to the full fruition of what the Spirit is through those traditions. Now those traditions, you're supposed to go into those traditions and learn the system on what was left behind. You see what I'm saying? But it's so much more. Each system has its ability, but it's fragmented. So let me tell you what the white boy does. He sits back and he'll go, them Negroes, them the Yoruba say, I'm Yoruba, I'm Voodoo. I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. And they go, ain't none of this stuff ours. And while they are arguing, we'll worship all of them. And try to, so what is missing in one system, maybe the astrological part is missing in this system. They will take another system and put it here, gain the astrological part. Maybe the inner aspect of the system is missing because you got 7 chakras, you got 7 major African deities. So the inner thing where they say we'll go and line up the East Indian gods with this, no, all that stuff is black. So what they'll do is they'll put them all together and get more of a cohesive thing, and that's called chaos magic, which they go and they cross traditions. We are stuck in traditions, and that's what messed us up. We are only limited based on that tradition. Then there's the part here, this is real strict about these gods. If you initiate and declare that they are supposed to be over you, then you better do what they say, because you made it a point to say that they were over you. Or you can be like me saying, I am one of you, and I might be above you. And then, based on you declaring that, then they either have to serve you or they got to be one with you. So you can roll with them like that's my boys. That's my Lego. Or you can roll with them as that's my God. But you have to make that choice. You see, you have to make that choice. So to me, I am equal. If not equal, I am master. Because what it is we have been slated to become the gods. And you see what I'm saying? So it just depends on how you do it. But my point here is, at this particular time, I tell anybody, all of it is yours, so use all of it and don't throw nothing out. You see, don't throw nothing out. You see, but just to segregate yourself into one of that one particular tradition, and all the traditions are flawed, which means they lasted for thousands of years, and after the cultures went down, where they had these major mystery system schools, a lot of times they had to go underground or they had to be kept by a few priests, and as a result it deteriorated over the years, where you don't have the complete school, but you have fragments of it that existed. You see what I'm saying? Even when you look at the Santeria and the Apollo and all that, they had to go infuse in the Catholic things with them and other things surrounding the areas, certain Mexican spirits, just to keep the stuff going because it was fragments. So that's the thing about that. Nothing is complete. That's why you would never get to a certain level by dealing with that, you see what I'm saying, in a sectarian part. You see, that's why I say deal with all of it. And if you get any particular person over you and tell you shouldn't, then you should leave. Because that means that person is only paying homage to the tradition, mainly which he declared to be the priest or she declared to be the priest over. And that might be good for that person, but that not be the law for every human down here to follow what you say. You see what I'm saying? To follow what you say. So that has something to do. Give me some more questions right quick. What's that?
We have any information about number 11? I've been having some personal experiences about
The number 11 is It's called 1 beyond 10. It's called the 11 cosmic power zone. Number 11 is the highest number of magic, because it's actually two people, one in one. That's why they built that World Trade Center. They built it to implode it later on. That was a ritual. You see what I'm saying? You see, so they built it to tear it down, but it was the number 11. That's why it was on 9/11. You see what I'm saying? Those are occult numbers, which are very powerful. 1 beyond 10.
Why would I use 10? I was born on 11/11.
11/11.
For the past 8 or 10 months, I see it every day.
That's because, number one, this is what's happening. You were born on 11/11, but the other 11 represents the spirit world coming in. See, what's happening here with this? This is very important to all of you all right now. How many people right now used to make a whole lot of money, and now all of a sudden, you no matter what you do, you just can't seem to get that economic parity? I think everybody up in here can deal with that. But at one time, you was rolling. You know what I'm saying? You could go to sleep and be making money. But now, the same methodology that you use now, it ain't working. That is because what has happened is this. Change is the key, but let me tell you what it is. Let me break it down. Let's say you was making money real good in 1985 or 1995. I was rolling. I just had a good job. And then all of a sudden now things start going, when one thing, you get one thing fixed, another thing break down. You know what I'm saying? Plumbing all messed up. Toilet don't work. See what I'm saying? All kind of things. Child done got all locked up. You got to mortgage your house for that knucklehead. And what's happening is this. The methodology that you used to use was good for terrain in a dimension that used to be on the planet. Now the terrain or the dimension has changed, and your physical methodologies haven't caught up to the spirit that is permeating now. So what it is you got to change your methodology. And how you change your methodology is, it has to be, what's up, brother? It has to be something almost in a fantasy world. It's got to be something opposite the way you deal with it. So in so many words, it's got to be spiritual. Let me give you an example. I get some money in my pocket. If I hoard it, no money comes in. The day I spend the last dollar of it, the money comes in. Now what is going on here? It's called a cash flow. It flows. But let's say you got some cash, and cash is supposed to flow. It's a currency and a current. But let's say if you got a knot in your pocket and you ain't disseminating that money out, then that knot comes there and the current blocks. It blocks the current. So you can't hoard. So I'm going to tell you another thing also too. A lot of this stuff has to do with your spirit aspect. If you become a miser, I don't want to, how much that cost? That's too much. Then what happens here is, it's an energy. And what's happening here is, the spirit said, well, she don't need that. She's secure because she's holding on to it. So it'll slow down. So a lot of this thing is a mentality. So sometimes the best thing to do is, okay, they say, well, this is what happens. This is very key stuff, because everybody got this financial problem. This is what they say you're supposed to do. Let's say you got a currency that's flowing. Okay? You got a currency that's flowing. They say that everything on the planet waxes and wanes, just like nature. You got the moon that's full, you got the moon waxing, you got the moon waning. Well, your current, it's an energy, it does the same thing. So they say what you're supposed to do is, when the money is flowing, you're supposed to be in a manner of trying to make money, trying to get money all lined up. And you're supposed to take all of your stuff, like your recreation, everything that you do for recreation. Let's say I'm gonna pile up a whole bunch of movies, I'm gonna pile up a whole bunch of music, I'm gonna stockpile a whole bunch of food. And then what happens, the moment, and this is magic now, the moment the money starts to wane, which means it slows down, that's when you're supposed to get into your music, you're supposed to watch the movies, you're supposed to get into the celebration and the festive mode to take your mind off of that money slowing down. So you're supposed to, you see what I'm saying? So you're supposed to basically block that particular part out. So that's how you do. So when the money stops, you're supposed to have built up a certain amount of things to take your mind off the aspect that the money stopped. Because if you don't take your mind off when the money stops, you might be sitting around the house worrying about the money and it gets worse, worse, and worse. You see what I'm saying, doing? So what I'm trying to tell you is all the things you do festive, you're supposed to save those things that you do festive to when the money, when the money slows down. So some people will do all the festive stuff when the money's flowing. And then when the money slows down, they just in a black hole. They can't do nothing. Because you done did all your festive stuff. You see how it goes? So what it is you got to change your behavior. You know how to get where I'm coming from? You have to change your behavior on what you do. Because it's all magical now. So because these particular dimensions are coming into each other, and it's that the laws that used to permeate the physical earth, they don't work anymore. They ain't working for the white man. Wall Street done crashed 3 times in the last doggone 6 months. They just keep putting more money in it. That is because the ebbs and the flows of the spirit world, you see what I'm saying? You got different dimensions bumping into each other. You see what I'm saying? Bumping into each other. You see, so that's the kind of thing you have to deal. You have to deal with. Give me some more questions, then we're gonna go into a question. And we're gonna go into what's that?
Yeah. What's the link? What's the science behind them having Boule member Henry Louis Gates keep doing all this stuff on your blood and who your family members are?
Okay. Yeah. What it is this. They know that our DNA is changing. Our DNA has already changed, at least the people that are conscious. So what is happening here is they are trying to study all that. They gave $15 million to Howard University to study. Now they gave them more than that. They gave them unlimited amount of millions to study 15,000 people just at Howard, 15,000 black bloodlines. They gave Alabama, University of Alabama, University of Mississippi all this money to study, and the UCLA to study the black bloodlines at different points around the United States. They went over to Europe, and especially the black people that's populated in England. That's why I'm getting ready to go to England. Brother Azariah just came back last week. Now I'm going over to declare, I'm going over to declare a newfound gods that's rising up in England. Can only happen 3 places on the earth. America, of course. Canada, of course, because they got a black population in Canada, which is just an extension of North America. Right. And England. Why you say those? Why you say not Africa and not the Caribbean? They don't have bookstores. They're not privy to the type of information. So the ones who are privy to high levels of technology, bookstores, internet. Now they do have internet in Africa. They don't have bookstores. They don't have the convenience to walk down to a bookstore, either black bookstore, either Barnes and Noble's, Borders, and get the information. So the people who migrated into the advanced technology cultures would be the gods that they put there for a certain reason. So England is one of those particular ones. And those gods in England, I'm going there to tell them who they are, not to give them just the information. We the gods over here, but I'm going over there to tell them what sector of the gods and the legions that they are is getting ready to rise up. You see what I'm saying? And what they're getting ready to rise up. So to identify that, but where was I? I was getting ready to say something. What was the question?
Henry Louis Gates.
Yeah, about Henry. Yeah, there you go. So over in England, they got over in Europe, especially in England, they took the Caribbean people from England and America, and they tracing their roots back to Africa or wherever. That is to try to check the DNA out. Another thing is this, because they're trying to find out where these gods are, but that's only another thing too. We have to get out of this whole Africa thing. Do you know that the Afrocentric movement that we call the African thing now was started in 1800s Europe in a place called the African Heritage Foundation by white people in the 1800s in England, chartered in England. Why is this? And it is the synthesis of the blueprint of what we go by with African-centered consciousness. They did this because they wanted to make a non-global black man that is only based on a continental aspect of Africa. You see what I'm saying? Now, they know this. They had a special on the Ovation channel that the Moors introduced into Europe the orange. Now, do they have oranges growing in Africa? Huh?
Yes.
Do they do?
Yes.
What part?
All parts.
Huh?
All parts.
All parts. Now, because I'm trying to say, that's why I was asking the question, because I asked it in New York. I know they got a tangerine type of thing over in Asia, but they say they introduced it in this particular one, this orange, into Europe. And so I was trying to ask the question whether did it come from Africa or did it come from the Americas? You see what I'm saying? It's just like they found tobacco in Ramesses' gut. And so Ivan Van Sertima told the guy when they said that they found the tobacco, I think it was Diop had talked about it, that they found the tobacco, and Ivan Van Sertima said, well, go back and find out, because they do have a tobacco that grows in Africa. So he said, well, go back and find out whether it was this particular tobacco or whether it was the one from the Americas. He said, now, the first thing they're going to do, if it's the African tobacco they found, they're going to tell you. Because they want you to say, well, y'all, ain't no big deal, it grows in Africa. But he said, if they don't tell you, they don't mention it to you, then maybe it came from America. He said, well, they never mentioned it to him. So what I'm trying to say here is, we are continental, global people. You go to China, you go wherever. And I'm not saying that Africa is not significant, because I'm going to show you something on Michael Jackson in a few minutes that happened with Michael Jackson in 2001 when they had to shut him down with the trial of molestation because he did something that they was